Welcome to the Horror Hangout, a podcast where film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time and talk about them. Today's episode is a bonus episode chatting all about one of the films premiering at FrightFest later this month. My name is Ben Errington, and I'm joined by Aaron Truss, the producer of documentary Cult of VHS, which has its world premiere at FrightFest in London on the 28th of August. Aaron is an award-winning director and producer, best known for the Rob Knox Story. Aaron studied at Thames Valley University in London and spent over a decade working in post-production, creating original content for IMAX and Sony Pictures. Welcome to Horror Hangout, Aaron.
Hey, Ben. Thanks for having me.
Hello. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. I've never been introed before on anything. It kind of feels like this is your life.
Oh, yeah.
You missed out tap dancer, singer, voyeur. I don't know. Yeah. No, it was good. I like it. Thank you.
Okay. And now I'm going to bring out loads of people from your past that you thought you'd forgotten about, but they're all here for This Is
Daddy.
Your Life.
You came back, Dad.
You came back, Dad. Oh.
I knew you'd never leave me.
So thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations, first off, on Cult of VHS.
Thank you so much, man. I'm super proud of it, and everyone who's worked on it. It's been a long journey, about 3 years, I think.
Wow, that's quite a journey. So so before we get started, I'll just read out some details on the film. So Cult of VHS is a documentary focusing on the age of VHS, eccentric collectors from around the globe, and the video nasties that became the center of a controversial debate on censorship in the 80s and 90s. This informative documentary explores the allure, the nostalgic artwork, straight-to-video titles, and yes, the video nasties for engaging, thought-provoking, and entertaining interviews with collectors, film directors, and VHS enthusiasts. That covers it, right?
I think that's it in a nutshell, I think, yeah.
That's it in a nutshell. Quite a big nutshell as well, but I like big nutshells, you know? So this is like a international cross-section of the Cult of VHS, isn't it? It's is that a good way to describe it? That's
I would say so. Yeah, I would definitely say it's most certainly international, just because of all the voices in this film. And I was pleasantly surprised to see that my childhood, which, you know, I cherish, you know, all those nights going to the video store and renting a movie for the weekend and things like that. And it just turned out to be something that everyone experienced, whether they were from Australia, Italy, France. It just felt like I wasn't alone, and we were all coming together, and we could relate on this sort of ritual, if you want to call it that. And that's what makes this film special to me. I know we're not the first documentary to cover the VHS era and, you know, the 80s and 90s and whatnot, but the thing that makes this all the more special is I think it has a lot of heart. It delves into not just the nostalgia of that era and what our childhoods were like, but I think it does bring a lot of people together, whether they're collectors, whether or not they're filmmakers. I kind of feel like we all bond over, and even though we've never met each other, you know, we've been in the same room together, it kind of feels like we're telling the same story. But it's incredibly interesting to hear that story from all sides of the world, you know?
Yeah, definitely. It was really interesting to hear it from all sides of the world and see that everybody kind of experienced pretty much the same sort of ritual as well. I guess like a forgotten ritual. Like when you try and explain this, like I've got a 12-year-old daughter, and when I try and explain to her what a video shop is, she sort of just stares straight through me as if I'm talking a language she doesn't understand.
I know exactly what you mean. Someone the other day asked me what a floppy disk was, and I had to leave the room. I had to leave. I had to leave London. I was like just walking on the beach, trying to find my soul. Going, I'm not that old, am I? Like, no.
Am I old? And you look at your hands, and they slowly age. Or like the bit at the end of the bit at the end of Saving Private Ryan when Matt Damon just turns old in seconds.
It was like drinking from the wrong holy grail, and I was like, no, it's not my time yet. It's ridiculous. But
what kind of storage has these floppy disks got on them then? Come on, they got to have a few gigabits, right? No.
Oh my god. What was it? If anyone can remember, was it 1 point something megabyte or We could probably fit a
like
Word document on it
yeah,
or
that
something.
sounds like too much.
Yeah,
I
maybe
remember
I'm
like
being a
having
bit over generous.
stacks of floppy disks for
That's
various
it.
things.
Yeah, every spy film in the 90s, I got a virus, and they whip out a floppy disk. You're like, all right, yeah, sure, you've got a
Sunglasses down.
virus. Yeah,
I green text on the screen.
yeah, everything's
I
all
feel
yeah.
like we're pretty lucky though. I feel like have been able to experience this. Like I know people are gonna look back at streaming and stuff like in its current format in years to come and kind of feel nostalgic for it. But I feel really lucky to have these memories to tap into of going to like video stores and looking at all the box art and feeling
Totally.
the
There was more
media.
effort involved, and like I said, it's like a ritual. So, it's I know everything is a click away now. Even shopping or hookers. Not that I would know, but I'm pretty sure that you don't have
Couple of
to
clicks.
actually. Yep. There you go. You can just edit that bit out. But I'm pretty sure you don't have to go out as much anymore. And I think getting in the car or walking down to the Blockbuster or Mum and Pops or whatever was your video store. I mean, there was something so cool about that, and also the box art and things like that, and talking to other customers and people recommending you films. Like if someone says to you, "Oh, I've just watched Sandman on Netflix. It's absolutely incredible. You should check it out." All you've got to do is go on your phone, watch a trailer, and go, it looks all right,
Yeah.
But when someone says to you back in 1980 something, "Oh, you've really got to see this film, Nightmare on Elm Street. Have you heard of it?" No, what it's about. And then you have to, there's more effort involved. You have to give a synopsis. You have to tell them your favorite bits. And then the next time they're at the video store, like, have you got this? Because you haven't seen a trailer. You haven't seen anything about it because you didn't have access to everything immediately. So there was more hype as well. I think there was more build up in your mind, and I missed that as well. I mean, it was always those, have you seen this film? Have you seen, I remember looking for Hellraiser for quite a number of years, just trying to track it down because I'd heard about this person called Pinhead, and there's a bit where this guy's head gets ripped apart and all this stuff. And I'm thinking in my mind, I'm going, this is crazy. Now you've only got to say, I mean, there are people who I work with who everyone, sends each other gifts and things like that. And someone was frustrated at work not long ago, and they sent me a gif of the guy's head exploding in Scanners. And I got excited and I thought, oh, you're a Scanners fan. He went, what? I went,
What now?
no, you can't use that.
Oh,
You've not
isn't
seen
it?
Scanners.
Yeah. Your rights to use that GIF have been instantly stripped away unless you can confirm you've seen Scanners.
Yeah, I wish I had that power to revoke people from using certain gifs.
Yeah.
It's just
I feel like it's only fair, I believe.
that's when I become the grouchy old man now. We're becoming our dads. It's like don't know what a floppy disk is, doesn't know what Scanners is. Go to your room.
The world's leaving me apart, leaving me behind. Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. Hellraiser was one for me as well, actually. So, and my dad owned that on VHS, and I saw the box art, and that was when I was like, "What the hell is this?" But yeah, obviously the movie posters were kind of like these big, like illustrations, colorful illustrations that looked super gruesome, sometimes depicting something that didn't even really happen in the film. But
yeah,
one part of the documentary that I kind of enjoyed the message of was the fact that you had to commit to, when you rent a movie from a video shop, you had to commit to watching it all the way through. You couldn't just stop halfway through and say, "Nah, that's not for me," or stop 10 minutes in and say, "That's not for me." You'd gone through all the effort, as is mentioned in documentary. You go through all the effort of going to the video shop, picking out the video, taking it home, and it's like a ritual, as you mentioned, but like a huge event as well. So yeah, I do kind of miss that. I'm with you on that.
because you've spent, I don't know how much money. I'm so young, I don't remember how much renting tapes cost, but I do remember that even if the film sucked, we'd still watch it and then we'd just bitch about it afterwards. But it was, yeah, you're absolutely right. And I'm trying to remember if there were any stinkers that I watched as a kid, but I must
Well,
have
that
like put them out of my mind, because all the ones that I ever watched from the video shop, or just the ones we owned, were absolute gems. Honestly, trying to I mean, even as a kid, when you grow up, to me there was no difference between the coolness of Terminator 2 and Jean-Claude Van Damme in Cyborg. Both were great films to me as a kid, and I thought they were both on the
Yeah.
level. And then the older you get, and I think I revisited Cyborg about a year ago, and I thought, oh my god, why did I like this? Oh man, and yeah, I think it's probably the same with Street Fighter as well.
Yeah, I remember liking Street Fighter. I do. I really do.
I
I
think,
think it's just because I
yeah.
had a crush on Kylie Minogue at the time.
Oh well, that goes without saying. To be honest, I think she was doing it with Jean-Claude Van Damme at the time. And I'm
Was
pretty sure he
she?
was coked off his head. Yeah, a lot of things happen on Street Fighter.
Wow. I want to see a
Yeah.
documentary about the making of that.
Well, funny you should say that. Right this
Next
second,
up.
Street
Next up.
behind the
okay.
Hadouken. That'll be my next documentary. Don't fuck with Jean-Claude Van Damme. That's my next documentary.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was on blow. Raul Julia I'm pretty sure he was dying at the time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Kylie Minogue was just fresh from Neighbours, I think. So, what could go wrong?
Fresh from Neighbours.
Fresh from Neighbours. That's the name of the doc.
Excuse me, are you
Fresh from Ramsey
Neighbours?
Street.
It's all over now, isn't it? Neighbours is done.
Oh, that's it. Out the window. Yeah,
I think Kylie and Jean-Claude come back. Why am I saying Jean-Claude? He wasn't
Jean-Claude
in it,
Van Damme in Neighbours. Harold. No, that's Schwarzenegger. I don't know why I did Schwarzenegger. I would love to see Jean-Claude Van Damme just turn up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like vest top, kicking the crap out of Harold Bishop. I'd see that.
I'd pay good money for that. I've not really asked you any of the questions I've got here, but
no, I can talk about Neighbours if you want. It's fine.
I prefer Home and Away. No, I don't. So I guess the first question is how did Cult of VHS come about? How was it born, and what was the process of it getting made? You said it's been 3 years in the making, so that was just pre-COVID. The idea.
Yeah, I came on board during, I think, just before the pandemic, I think, and it was all because I was working on my first feature documentary called The Rob Knox Story, and I was doing some research into Kickstarters, just trying to raise funds for anything that I could get my hands on my current documentary, and I just found this page called Cult of VHS, and I thought, well, that's interesting. That looks a bit like In Search of Darkness. So I clicked on it and thought, I'll give that a look, see what it's all about. I watched some sort of trailer they pieced together, and I was blown away by it. And I thought, that looks like my childhood. You can still see the original trailer on the Kickstarter page. And when I watched that, I thought, I really want to see if I can get involved in this. I had no idea that the director Rob was based in Mexico. Rob is an absolute gem of a human being, and he got in touch with me and said, hey, I'd love you to get involved and help out. That's so nice of you. And I think it was originally just an interview I did, and then over time we just kept talking, and he told me about his process, what he was doing, and how lockdown was affecting him mentally. And I said, well, it's affecting us all. Do you need any more help on the film? And eventually it just sort of snowballed to a point where it became a huge collaboration between myself, Rob, his brother, and Kevin Proctor, who's the other producer on the film. And we clicked instantly, and we ended up speaking to Graham Humphreys, who's the greatest illustrator of VHS box art ever, in my opinion. He's done some absolute amazing work, stuff that scared me as a kid. And we just pushed through it together, editing sections together, reviewing stuff, adding more interviews as we went along. I took the reins on a certain part of the documentary which I felt needed sort of more insight, which was the video Nasties section. And that was only because I'm based in the UK. I've done research on it before. I sort of know about Mary Whitehouse, but we can do a little bit more here. So I had to sort of beef up certain sections, and Rob and I worked so well together that it's amazing, because I've never even met him. I will be meeting him at FrightFest
for the first time.
That's what I'm looking forward to. FrightFest isn't just about Cult of VHS for me. It's about meeting my friend of 3 years in Mexico for the first time. So I can't wait to give him a big hug and a kiss and tell him well done to his face, because he's done an incredible job.
That's so exciting, isn't it? So he's coming to FrightFest, and it's the first time he's been to the UK as well.
Yeah, first time he's been to the UK. Gonna buy him some fish and chips because that's all I feel we have to offer at this point.
Yeah.
We're gonna go see a few films together. We've got like a list of films we want to go see at FrightFest together, and yeah, it's going to be absolutely incredible. So it's this film has not only managed to secure itself in probably the greatest genre film festival in the UK, but also it's bringing a lot of people together that I wouldn't necessarily have thought we'd be in the same room together, and it's a lot of friendships have blossomed from it as well, and that's just incredible to me.
Yeah. It sounds absolutely incredible. VHS brings people together. Still bringing people together, which is
after all this time, after 20 odd years.
Yeah. So you're excited for Fright Fest. Are there any films in particular that you're excited to see?
Yeah, I definitely want to see Dario Argento's new film.
Yes.
Because, and this is just between us and our listeners, I thought he was dead. So the fact
no.
that he's come out with a new film, I was like, oh yay, we've still got more Argento in the canon. So it's yeah, I'm definitely going to go see that. I'm definitely interested in seeing the shorts because I'm a sucker for short horror films as well. What else was there?
Yeah, I mean, it does look like a great lineup.
The
doesn't it?
lineup is incredible this year. I mean, we're truly blessed with some amazing films. I was looking because the program for Fright Fest was released today, and I was just flicking through it, just going, "Oh my god, I'm almost spoiled for choice. That's the problem." But I just can't wait. It's absolutely incredible. So I've got to make sure I divide my time up, and I'm not overlapping on anything. I'm just going to be bouncing from the Prince Charles to Cineworld, back and forth, and then hopefully the pub.
Yeah, get yourself to the pub halfway through, not halfway through a movie, half in the gap between movies. Don't miss.
Yeah, I think so. Quick run down one, then back into the cinema.
It's like going to a music festival when you're trying to make sure there are no clashes between like your favorite bands.
That's exactly what it feels like. It feels like a theme park, but it's just going to be blood, gore, and lots of people loving horror.
What a theme park as well. I've never been to Fright Fest. I really want to go, and yeah, I'm not going this year, but hopefully next year will be the year when I'll be able to walk those fabled steps. Are they fabled now? Those steps?
I think so. They're pretty. Everywhere when I think of Fright Fest, I just think of those stairs lit up in red, and think, oh my god, I'm going to be walking those in 11 days time. So it's so cool. So
incredible. Your movie will be at Fright Fest, and Dario Argento's movie will be at Fright Fest as well.
Yeah.
That's got to be in itself a really, really cool feeling.
It is. There have been a few cool feelings that have just ever since there was the announcement. I've been getting emails saying we want to review your film, and thank you, Ben, for looking at our film. It's absolutely fantastic that people are actually taking an interest. But then I got an email from like Kim Newman, and I didn't think anything of it, and I just thought, that's not who I think it is who's going to be checking out our film and leaving a review. And I thought, oh god, I just said, hi Kim, please see a screener. I just didn't think anything of it. Should I call him Mr. Newman, or how does this work? And I kind of freaked out a little bit. I thought, oh god, Kim Newman, I just called him Kim. Should I do that?
Can I call him Kim? Can I call you Kim?
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting though. That's all really exciting. So I guess next up, well, I was going to say, what are your first memories of the VHS format? We did kind of cover that, but do you remember the first movie you ever saw on VHS? I mean, was it a horror, or do you?
I actually do. I mean, obviously as a kid in the 90s, early 90s, obviously I remember the Disney films and, Sword in the Stone and Peter Pan and things like that. And going back to Neighbours, I actually do remember my mum having Scott and Charlene's Wedding from Neighbours on VHS.
She was there. She was invited.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I do remember all the kid stuff, but the one film that I remember having from quite a young age, and I think I got it for my first birthday or my second or something, was from my godfather, and it was Batman '89, and it was in one of those plastic cases that was slightly bigger than other videos at the time, so it stood out on the shelf like a sore thumb. And I just remember watching that film endlessly, and obviously there was the Batman cartoons, and every kid loved Superman growing up, but there was something so dark, and I mean, it didn't even have a name, Burton-esque at the time, for Batman '89, and Keaton was so cool. I'd be running around the house as a little 4-year-old, whatever, going, "You want to get nuts?" And people look at me like, "What the hell is he on about?" And it's just every line in that film was just pure gold. But that was the one that I remember, being completely blown away with was Batman, and obviously then Batman Returns came out and Batman Forever. But that was the first one, and it was the only one that I remember where Batman just looked like the coolest character that I'd ever seen on screen. I'd seen Han Solo, I'd seen Indiana Jones, and then this guy puts on a mask, and I just thought, wow, this guy's badass. I want to be Batman when I grow up. But obviously that would mean my parents would have to die, and I don't want that. So I chickened out of that fantasy quite early on.
Can't turn his head there, Michael Keaton.
No. He has to turn his whole body, but still he makes it look cool.
He makes it look cool.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, that is a great. When you said your Godfather bought, I thought you were going to say The Godfather was the first VHS movie you had on your first birthday.
He came to me on the day of my daughter's wedding, and no. But yeah, it was just I can name hundreds of VHS that influenced me over the years that stuck with me. But if we had to name one, it was Batman.
So, are you a collector of VHS then?
I am not. It's a shame because I do own a few VHS which I refuse to get rid of. Like in the documentary, I mentioned the Doctor Who tin box set, which I've still got, but only because it was it came in like this collectible tin. I don't know if it's worth money now. It probably is, but it has one story with William Hartnell and one with Sylvester McCoy, and I just refuse to get rid of it. It's one of those things where it introduced me to Doctor Who. I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. And I just thought, no, I'm not getting rid of that. I'm going to keep that, and I'm going to save it, and I have to this day for 30 odd years. So, but I did come across. I've been working with a guy who's doing the subtitles for Cult of VHS, and I won't go into the details, but he handed me a copy of A Nightmare on Elm Street on VHS, and it was the original Graham Humphreys cover, all the blues and the orange font, and for a moment, I just became a kid again. And I tried to open the clamshell and I couldn't. And I thought I couldn't do it even as a kid. Like, it's so stiff. Like, how do I get it open? And then eventually you go crack and it opens. You're like, did I break it? And just that feel and just thinking, wow, this was home entertainment. Now it's just, streaming or Blu-rays or whatever. But just to hold that tape in my hands, I kind of felt a little bit of my past sort of returning, just the feelings and all these and it was just great to see it again as well. It was the exact same one my parents had on the VHS shelf at home. So now, unfortunately, I don't collect, but every time I do come across one, I just, it takes me back, especially if it was something that I owned in the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be fairly interested in collecting. I don't collect VHS.
You don't collect? Okay.
Don't collect VHS, no. And I kind of always, I don't know. I've always kind of thought maybe, I think I'm getting to that point, when you get to that point where you're kind of like, okay, I mean, I collect vinyl, and now maybe I'm thinking, is VHS the next logical step?
Are you waiting on the fence? Are you seeing if others do it first and HMV start pumping them out again?
Not so much that. Like, I really do enjoy, and another thing that's covered in the documentary is like the treasure hunt sort of style of hunting for VHS and purchasing VHS. You're looking on eBay, or sometimes you stumble across something being sold somewhere and they have absolutely no idea that it's worth any money or would be good for collectors to get their hands on. So that element of it is quite exciting. So
yeah, and it's like Kevin Martin in the documentary, the guy who runs the video shop, who I absolutely love to bits. He's so awesome. He says in the documentary that, was it like 40% of films never went digital?
Yeah.
So hold on to your VHS players, and it's true.
What movie is it he mentions?
The Borrowers.
Yeah, I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that.
I'd never heard of it either, but to be honest, like, for people who are collectors, there are films out there that, that are just going to fall through the net and we'll never see them ever again. And it's a shame, especially the straight to video films.
It's insane, isn't it?
Oddly enough, you can watch The Borrowers on YouTube. I did check it out. So
you can.
If you want to watch it, someone's ripped it.
I feel like I want to watch it because even from, I think it shows like 3 seconds of it in the documentary, and I was like, I'm sold. I'm
Yeah,
sold. I want to
exactly.
watch
Yeah,
this.
just that one little clip. But yeah, it's the whole film is on YouTube, so check it out.
Yeah, it's not the movie about the tiny little people, anyway, is it? Before anyone
No,
finishes
John
talking about
Goodman's
that,
not in this one, I don't think.
no, maybe as a cameo. Who knows? Uh, Borrower. That's it. Here we go. I found it. So
Mm.
sorry. I just it was one of those documentaries, and I feel like it with a lot of documentaries about horror movies and just movies in general. I'm always kind of like writing down. Okay, oh, I've got to watch that. Oh, this is next. Oh, I've definitely got to hunt that down. So
Mm.
that was on the list, definitely. Yeah, so obviously you mentioned what was the guy's name who owned the video store?
Oh, Kevin Martin. Yeah.
Kevin Martin. Yeah, he was a very, very interesting guy. Was there like anybody in particular that you were really excited to include in the documentary?
Yeah, well, I think Graham Humphreys sort of came on board just as I was coming on board. So I was super excited to see what he had to say, and I was hoping he'd talk about the Evil Dead, and he did. So I was incredibly chuffed that he did, and he spoke about video nasties and censorship, which of course he was slap bang in the middle of it all. So, um, but I think my dad would probably be have to. Yeah, I think that would be my favorite interview that I got to do, and I shot that myself because obviously he's the man
Oh wow, okay.
who brought me. I mean, this is a guy who, when my mum went out partying with her friends or whatever on a Friday night, and it would just be me and my dad at home. I think 6-year-old me just turns to me and says, "Do you want to watch something called Return of the Living Dead, Aaron?" And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, that sounds good." And
Sounds great.
yeah, brains, and ever since that moment, and what was that? I think there was a bit where he like bites into his skull and things like that. I'd never seen so much blood and tits in a film before. I don't think I'd seen boobs before that point. So that was a very, I
Okay.
didn't understand the whole combination of what made a film of that time, like especially a horror film.
Hmm.
All these tropes that you'd have. And I remember it just blowing my mind and being super scared to go to sleep. And then of course A Nightmare on Elm Street came along, and oh my god, I'm getting flashbacks of Brain Dead. How could he have shown me Brain Dead as a kid? He's an awesome dad. Just want to put that
Yeah,
out to the
he sounds
listeners.
like an
He
awesome
is
dad.
kick ass. We still watch horror films together. That's the great thing. I'm in my 30s, he's in his 50s, and every once in a while we'll get together and watch a horror film, and it takes me back, even without the VHS context, it takes me back to being a young kid, excited to watch a horror film with my dad and my brother now as well. Um, so yeah, I think he was the most fun to interview because I knew the stories that he would talk about, but he also spoke about the first time he got a VHS player. And that's, not a big deal, for me because it was just there when I was, born or whatever and grew up. But he talks about his dad renting a top loader for the
Hmm.
first time. I mean, renting a VHS player, that's weird to me. That's like renting a
Yeah.
computer for the weekend so I can, do some, I'm going to rent this PS4 or whatever. But they had to rent VHS players, which is just, it's beyond me. But
A lot of effort.
yeah,
Big,
it just
heavy
seems
old.
like, yeah, to me, a VHS player or a DVD player or whatever seems like, a useful item like an oven or a microwave. A VHS player, you've got to return it. That sounds so sad. I would not want to be there the day that my dad had to return the VHS player back to the shop. Um, but yeah, he was coming out with all these interesting facts, and and he was talking about how he'd wait for releases. And again, we spoke about the internet and how it was, absent in the 80s and 90s or whatever. And all he'd have would be a catalog. He'd spool for this catalog, waiting for upcoming films to come out, and if he could get hold of them. I mean, it was a bit like me as well as a kid because I went through a huge Hammer horror phase, and I remember wanting to see anything with Christopher Lee, anything with Peter Cushing, and I think W.H. Smith's had a catalog where you could just go through and order, all these Hammer films and things. That's why I just remember ticking all these fucking boxes on on this guy, just going, yeah, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want Dracula 80 1972, I want Dracula Prince of Darkness, I want Frankenstein this, and it just, and that was all you had. And then the day that they turn up to the store and you go in and collect it, and
Oh yeah.
it was just,
What
the
a feeling.
weight as well. None
Yeah.
of that Prime stuff. It was, you had to wait a week or two for something to turn up, big plastic box, and the excitement of waiting for it as well. So cool.
Yeah. I know, exactly. It's just the whole. I'm so glad that we've got those memories, because I think it just makes you appreciate, and it shapes who you become as like a film fan. And it's just something that you can look back on fondly, and again bond with people who've experienced the same thing. It's it's amazing, and I definitely felt that watching the documentary. Um, so how do you expect audiences to feel watching Cult of VHS? What would you like to send them away with at the end of the documentary?
I'm presuming that our Fright Fest audience are going to want to see this film because it resonates with them in the first place, and there is a huge interest there. For an audience in general, where despite their age, I just want people to go away with a good feeling, and that's because of the feeling that Rob promotes in the film. It's a feel-good film. It's not like we're mourning the loss of VHS. We're actually celebrating its influence even today. We mentioned Stranger Things, we mentioned Kung Fury, we mentioned the fact that we've got VHS filters on our phones and things like that. So we're embracing that, but we're also giving a lot of context to why things were the way they were back then. And it's a good feeling. I want people to leave this film, wanting to go and revisit all those older movies that they watched as a kid. I want them to go away and say, you know what, I'm going to see if I can track down Toxic Avenger on Blu-ray, or if I can get Critters, or if I can get this, that, and the other. I want them to be able to go away and find those films that define their childhood. And for the younger audiences, I hope that we're presenting them with a world of films they've never seen before. Films like Paranormal Activity and Saw and things like that. I want them to go back and discover films like The Exorcist. I want them to go back and discover films like Friday the 13th and Halloween. Because there's a whole world of horror out there that I hope it doesn't get lost over time, because we keep celebrating it, and you have your podcast, and I won't stop banging on about these films. I hope that someone goes and watches Phantasm. I really do. I hope we're doing these films justice in the documentary, but I just want people to go away and just get that video shop feeling. Go rent some movies, go buy some films, go celebrate these amazing filmmakers from long ago, and just have fun with it.
It definitely worked there. I think if that was what you're setting out to do, me as like somebody who's a huge fan of horror, been watching horror movies since I was very young. There were plenty of films on there. I was like, I've got to watch that. Oh, I've got to see that. I've never seen Night of the Creeps.
Oh,
And
really? It's
yeah,
bloody brilliant. I watched it a few years ago, and it's got what's his name? Tom Atkins.
Tom Atkins, yeah.
Yeah, from Halloween 3, and it's got some of the best. I don't know why he wasn't in more films, to be honest. And that film just had me in stitches. It's exactly everything you'd want from one of those VHS movies, Night of the Creeps. It's just, I think me and my brother watched it on Halloween a couple of years ago, and I was not disappointed. It was everything and more.
Yeah. Well, it was just one of those where I didn't know all that much about it. So as soon as I saw it was being covered, I was like, oh, okay, well, I don't know much about this. And again, just from the couple of clips it showed, I was like, why don't I know anything about this? What's going on?
I love
Some
that
of them
though.
just...
I was the same with when I watched In Search of Darkness. That's how I discovered Night of the Creeps.
Yes.
I'd never
Oh,
seen it,
okay.
and I just watched a couple clips, and I thought I got to track this film down. But again, even though I've worked on Cult of VHS, there are still plenty of films out there that I need to track down, like we were saying with The Borrower and things like that. And I'm glad I've not watched them all. I'm glad there are still films out there where I'm like, right, I need to see Critters because I've never seen it. And yeah, the search goes on, really.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes there are plenty of films that just slip through the net, aren't they? And doing a horror movie podcast every week has allowed me to see some things that probably I even never would have seen, or I'm so glad that I did get around to seeing. So
if you do one on Night of the Creeps, get me back, because I would love to hear your thoughts on Night of the Creeps.
Most of the time when I do these interviews, I just can't help myself. I always invite whoever I'm interviewing to come and do a full episode. So if you want to come and do a full episode with us on Night of the Creeps, maybe in the next couple of months, then
Yeah, I would love that. I'd be happy if you just said we're doing one on Tom Atkins. I'll be sold and I'll be there.
we've got a special on Tom Atkins.
That's it.
100%. I'll make a note of that because that sounds fun. I need to see it, and
Yeah.
what better person to have on to discuss it?
Amazing, thanks.
So after Cult of VHS premieres at FrightFest, where will people be able to see the documentary after that?
So after we've done FrightFest, I'm not actually allowed to say because it's not been announced. There are festivals coming up towards Halloween in the fall where we will be showing in other countries, but I can't say anything just yet. And we're very, very excited and we're very, very honored to be given these opportunities. And it is because of FrightFest. But as soon as I have more information, I'll pass it on straight away because we are working on something at the moment, 2 festivals after FrightFest. And for the backers on Kickstarter, there is a plan for them to get their Blu-rays, which was part of the perks. So there is a...
Oh, wow, okay.
I know this is a podcast, but I've got to show you this later. The Blu-ray sleeve looks like a VHS with the VHS tape being pulled out of it, and it just looks absolutely beautiful. And
wow.
Those will be going to the backers. I'm sure there'll be some bootlegs floating around in the ether if anyone can get their hands on them. But
I thought you were going to say, when I said where can we watch it, I thought you were going to say we're going to be releasing it on VHS only.
No, it is going to be on VHS. I should have said that. It's they are making a limited bunch of and bless Rob, the director, he's been sitting at 2 VHS players and just having to record them in real time for the backers, because there are people out there who have invested in this who have been wanting a VHS copy of it, and I've seen the sleeves for them as well, and they just look absolutely beautiful. The fact that my second feature film that I've worked on is getting a VHS limited release blows my mind as well. Because obviously, when I was a kid and I wanted to make films and stuff, I thought, I'd like to have my film one day on VHS. And I remember taking out the sleeves of like films that I had as a kid and drawing my own ones and putting my name on them and whatever, and saying that will be my film one day. Thinking one day I'll grow up and my film will be on VHS. And you know what? Fucking right, I did it. It's going to be on VHS.
Dreams do come true.
Exactly,
yeah.
Even if no one has a VHS player.
Some people do.
Some people do, yeah.
Some people. So what do you think the future looks like for the VHS format? Do you think it's just going to be continuing this sort of trend of... Do you hope that this sort of like wave of nostalgia doesn't die off? Because I don't know how I feel about living in a world where a wave of DVD nostalgia comes in.
I don't think we'll ever get that. No, I mean, I do remember when DVD came along and just my mind being blown at how clear the quality was and the pan and scan being removed and stuff like that. But with VHS, it's a tricky one because I don't want to upset anyone, especially the enthusiasts. But I think VHS will always have a place. It's a very niche culture, I think, but I think it will always be there in some form. Even if we're just being nostalgic, or stranger things have happened in terms of vinyl coming back and CDs. There is a need for physical media, I think, especially for people who, I know a lot of friends who've just got rid of films and music because it's all on Spotify, it's all on Netflix, it's all on Amazon. But I've got to, you're saying this is going to be on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so over there behind me is a collection of a lot of physical media, from Mega Drive games to DVDs to Blu-rays, and I won't get rid of them unless my girlfriend tells me to, which I hope will never happen. But it's something that I feel comfortable, like, just knowing that I have Guest House Paradiso. That's a really bad example, but I know I probably won't be able to see that on Netflix.
That's a great example.
All right. Candle in the eye. And I just films that, I love the fact that I've got, like, for example, I'm going to the shelf now. Like Arrow Video, for example.
Yes.
Are absolutely incredible. I love my Phantasm.
Yeah.
I can get that on Shudder or whatever, but I love the physical copy, the reverse sleeves.
And it's one of those things. If you've got it, like I've not got a huge collection, but Blu-rays and DVDs and various things. If I've got it, I'd rather watch the physical media than find it on a streaming platform elsewhere.
Agreed. It's just one of those things. And with physical media, like VHS and things like that, I've got a copy here of They Live, but it's signed by John Carpenter.
Oh my God.
And
oh wow.
That was by mistake.
Well.
I got this for like, I think it was like £8 or £9, just, on Amazon, used and new or whatever, thinking I really want to watch They Live. Came in the post and I had it checked out, and yeah, it's John Carpenter's signature. So someone out there just didn't know, and I've ended up with a John Carpenter signed They Live.
John Carpenter signed my Blu-ray. How rude, John.
Exactly. So thanks, John. I'm just gonna, put this on Amazon or whatever, John, for £8. And
that's
and
amazing.
With physical media, I mean, here's one that I love because it's signed by Adrienne King herself.
Oh wow.
And she wrote a little message on it and stuff. It says, he's still out there, Adrienne King, Alice. And I'm just when am I ever going to get my hands? You can't sign stuff that's streaming and whatever. So it's just as important to me to have.
It's those. Yeah, sorry. Finish that point.
No, it's okay. I just, it's important to me. I might not collect VHS, but I still collect physical media, especially if it's a collection of something or something that I know is, something very special to me. If I watch, the latest release on Netflix or whatever, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to be like, oh, I got to get that on Blu-ray or whatever. But if it's, Phantasm or Friday 13th, or as we were saying, it's important, I think. And I get the collector's perspective completely.
Yeah. No, I mean that's a great answer, and yeah, I think just the discovery, with that, even though you're buying it on Amazon, the fact that a signed version's come through the door to you, like that discovery, that excitement of sort of feeling like you've got something that's rare, and that sort of goes alongside collecting physical media as well. So
yeah, and you can't beat that feeling of look what I've got. And it's almost like, I think, showing off your sports car in many ways for collectors, because I know some collectors. I know one guy who called Stuart Morris, who runs Misty Moon Film Festival and the Misty Moon Film Society in London. And he's an absolutely amazing guy, but I'm incredibly jealous of the fact that he has one of the Freddy Krueger gloves, like from Nightmare 4, I think it is. And I think he's got an original Jason machete as well. And if you were going to go for collectors, you'd be like, wow, that's like, fine, you do you, but
you win.
Yeah, that I can't really compete with that.
He could do like Freddy versus Jason, like himself.
Yeah, next time I see him, I'm going to say, let's fight.
Let's fight.
Let's just go out in the garden. Let's go out in the garden and play
on.
Freddy versus Jason. Come on. I know you're 50, but let's do this.
Whoever wins. No, that's Alien versus Predator. What's the tagline for Freddy?
Whoever wins, Jason? We lose. What was place your bets, or was that the tagline for the trailer?
No, there was a bit in the trailer that says place your bets, and then it doesn't say it in the movie.
Yes, exactly. I remember, what was it, 2002? That film came out? Oh my God, that film is 20 years old.
It celebrated its 20th anniversary.
20th anniversary.
3 days ago. 3 days ago.
I mean, the film is a pile of cack, but as a kid growing up with the Freddy franchise and the Jason franchise, and you always wanted it to happen. But I remember staying up late on the PC, waiting for this trailer to load or download. And I'll be honest, it was the most, like, everyone's probably going to go away and watch this now, but as a trailer, it's 101 in how to sell a film in terms of putting two franchises together. And I think Jason X had just come out before that, and that film is incredible. I don't care what anyone says. Yeah, whoever said, let's do Jason in space deserves, a lifelong hug. But
best death
David Cronenberg's in that as well.
Yeah, he is at the start.
Strange, yeah. David Cronenberg in so what would you say? Best death?
Best death in the Friday the 13th franchise as well, in Jason X, potentially.
Oh, is it the cryogenic frozen head that he smashes on the
frozen
counter?
head face. Yeah, that's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can't beat that. That's
I
good.
do like the sleeping bag bit, where he's trying to kill the holodeck characters and he's just smacking them against a tree. Yeah, and it's just so tongue in cheek, and it's Kane Hodder's last outing is Jason as well, so it's that film is so special, honestly. And then Freddy versus Jason is okay. It's fun to watch for a laugh if you're into WWE or whatever, because it is just like one big long wrestling match, and it's anything with Robert Englund in it is going to be awesome anyway. So
yeah. 100%. Okay, so the next part of this chat is a little quick fire round. Although some of the questions I've put down here, I feel like I'm going to know your answers now that I've been speaking to you for a while.
Also, you think?
Or so I think. Don't judge me. You don't know. You know nothing of me.
You don't know me. You sound like my dad. No, I'm joking.
Daddy. Okay, so quick fire round. Here we go. Be kind, rewind, or I haven't got time for that.
Be kind, rewind.
Yeah,
always.
Blockbuster or mum and pops?
Blockbuster. English.
Rent for one night or rent for 2 nights?
Ooh, rent for one night. Yeah.
Just one and done.
Just Video Nasty. One's all I need.
Video Nasty or highbrow horror?
Highbrow horror. Yeah.
Highbrow. See, I thought you'd go for Video Nasty. 70s, 80s, or 90s?
It's got to be the 80s.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Movie night snack, popcorn or pizza?
Oh, pizza.
Yeah. Watch alone or watch with friends?
Definitely watch with friends. Definitely.
Happy ending or hint for sequel?
Oh, that's a good one. Hint for sequel. I don't care what film it is. Nightmare on Elm Street, Schindler's List. Oh wait, that's a bad one. Hit for a sequel.
There could be a sequel here.
There's a bigger list. No,
we're gonna need a bigger list. Yeah. Well, that's it. You did. I was gonna say you did very well, but
Oh, they were right and wrong answers.
That kind of quiz. No, maybe in my head.
I think I lost points for Schindler's List.
Well. So last question is what are you working on currently or next? What's next after Cult of VHS?
So at the moment I'm actually going back to shorts. I'm working with who I mentioned earlier, Stuart Morris from Misty Moon, and we're working on a short horror film called Pareidolia. Now this so I don't know if you're familiar with the term pareidolia, but it's when you look up at the sky or at inanimate objects and you think you can see a face or a pattern, but it's just your mind trying to connect the dots and make some sense of what you're seeing. So when you see a man on the moon, there's not necessarily a man on the moon, it's just what you're seeing, the eyes, nose, mouth, whatever. But we're taking that a step further with the fact that our main character in the story is being stalked by an entity that remains hidden, but she can see it. I won't give too much of the plot away, but it's a really, really, really good script, and I'm so happy that my dad wrote it, which is incredible. So I get to work with my dad again.
No way!
It's the first thing he's written in so many years, so I'm super stoked for it. And the best part is working with Stuart Morris. He has a lot of connections within the horror film genre, part of the industry, and playing our lead is Diane Franklin from Amityville 2, The Possession. She was one of the princesses in Bill and Ted. Joanne, I think she was. She was in Better Off Dead. Wow. She was in Last American Virgin. So, and she's absolutely lovely. She loves the script. She never does short films either. So this is like, no pressure. It's got to be good, or we'll never ever hear or speak of this film ever again. We've also got Graham Cole, isn't it, from The Bill, which is incredible. He's absolutely lovely. We've got Carolyn Pickles, who was in Broadchurch and The Bill also, and Harry Potter. And we also, and this is a really good one as a cameo because she's doing all the bits recorded, Sandy Johnson from the original John Carpenter's Halloween. Now, Sandy played Michael Myers' sister in the opening of the film. She gets stabbed by the little Michael Myers in the clown suit. And she's going to be doing a little cameo for us voiceover wise. So it's horror galore, this film.
Yeah, it sounds it. Great title as well. Really like that.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, we're super looking forward to it, and we can't wait to get started. We start shooting in October, and I think we wrap up in February. But it's definitely worth it. And this is all harking back to the VHS era for me anyway, because we're talking about all these classic films, especially Amityville and things like that, and I'm thinking, oh my god, I can't believe I'm living that life right now where everything is just pure horror, which is not entirely where I saw my life going, to be honest. But just when you thought you were out, they pull you back in. So I'm happy with that.
Get back in. Where can our listeners find out more from you or keep up to date with your projects? Do you want to maybe give us your social
plug
media?
socials? Yeah, I mean, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, at Cult of VHS, so you can keep up with our progress. We will be dropping all our updates on there as well. So if you can find us on Instagram, you can find us on Twitter, and you can find us on Facebook. All the same handle.
Amazing. I will put all of those links in the show notes, whether you're watching this on YouTube or listening on a podcasting platform. Those links will be in the show notes. There we go then. Thank you very much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, become a patron over at patreon.com/horror hangout. Thanks to Taj Easton for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. Please consider giving us a rating or review and head over to the Facebook group Horror Hangout Board of Advisors for more. Thank you so very much, Aaron, and best of luck for FrightFest. Enjoy yourself.
Thank you very much. And Dad, if you're listening, I miss you. Come home.
Yeah, just drop us a DM and we'll pass it on to Aaron if you've got a message.
Thanks, Dad.
See ya. Bye.